Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is our non-messianic conversations. This is our Monday night Q&A session. It's the 29th of March, 2021. Before we get started, I was going to ask everybody to like, share, and subscribe, and also hit the notification button. I was going to make a couple of announcements. We're going to be, because of what my job, I'm gonna have to take the time back on Monday and Wednesdays to 7 o'clock. I know we've been doing it at 6, but I'm gonna take it back to 7. It'll give me more time to get situated, get prepared. So we're gonna do it like that. We're gonna go into our moment of silence and our prayer, and then go into read a song. Oh Lord, we thank you for your great mercy and your great power and wisdom. We tarry, waiting for your powerful deliverance of your people Israel. O Lord, you have given us insight into the scriptures of our fathers. You, O Lord, have directed us to who you are and your role in the goings on of heaven and earth. We come this Sabbath day, doubtless that you will appear and that you will gather your nation from among these wicked Gentiles. O Lord, you spoke through your prophet Isaiah and said that you would keep Abraham's seed, and that you, O Lord, whom you have scattered, you have completed that promise as of this day. You said, O Lord, that you would remove the darkness from around us. Tarry not, O Lord. The latter days are here. They are upon us. We are waiting and watching for you, O Lord. Peace be unto you. Okay.
Yes, hallelujah. Yes, Lord.
We're going to read the Psalms, right? Then we'll do our current events. Okay. I'll read Psalms 31. It says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. This is Psalms of David. Okay, it says, okay. What's up, Wesley? It says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be ashamed. Deliver me in thy righteousness. Bow down thine ear to me. Bow down thine ear to me. Deliver me speedily. Be thou my strong rock for the house of thy defense to save me. For thou art my work, my rock, and my fortress. Therefore, for my name's sake, lead me and guide me. Pull me out of the net that they have previously for me. For thou art my strength. Into thine hands I commit my spirit. Thou hast redeemed me, O Lord, God of truth. I have hated them that regard lying vanities, but I trust in the Lord. I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy, for thou hast considered my trouble. Thou hast known my soul in adversities, and hast not shut me up into the hands of the enemies. Thou hast set my feet in a large room. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. Mine eyes is consumed with grief. Yea, my soul and my belly, for my life is spent with grief, and my years was with sighing. My strength faileth because of my iniquities, and my bones are consumed. I was a reproach among all mine enemies, but especially among my neighbors, and a fear to my acquaintance. They that see me without fled from me. I am forgotten as a dead man out of mind. I am like a broken vessel, for I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my God. My times are in that my times are in thy hand. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies and from them that persecute me. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. Let me not be ashamed, O Lord, for I have called upon thee. Let the wicked be ashamed, and let them be silent in the grave. Let the lying lips be put to silence, which speak grievous things proudly and contemptuously against the righteous. Oh, how great is thy goodness, which thou hast laid up for them that fear thee, which thou hast wrought for them that trust in thee before the sons of men. Thou hast hid them in the secret of the presence from the pride of man. Thou shalt keep them secretly in a pavilion from the strife of tongues. Blessed be the Lord, for he hath showed me his marvelous kindness in a strong city. For I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou hearest thy voice of my supplication when I cried unto thee. O love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful and plentifully rewarded the proud doer. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart, all ye that hope in the Lord. Okay, that was Psalms 31, and it was in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Psalms of David. Okay. Yeah, for the people that just came on, we'll be doing it at 7 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays because it give me a little more time to get ready and get prepared. Work and picked up. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to some current events. Anybody got any current events?
I see they finally got the ship rolling.
Right,
So yeah.
right. Okay, yeah. So anybody else got anything? Okay. I was gonna play a couple things right here. It's in case nobody don't know that the virus has started back again. Play this right here right quick. So right here was said Biden urges states to restore mask mandates as Walensky warns of an impending doom over a possible virus surge. So I'm going to read a little more of this. It says President Biden on Monday called on governors and mayors to maintain or reinstate mask wearing orders, saying that because of the reckless behavior, the coronavirus was again spreading fast, threatening the progress the nation had made so far against the pandemic. So is that crazy or not? Most High said that he's gonna send us among a wicked nation of people that didn't have no understanding. So I mean, what it's gonna take is almost over 500,000 people dead, but you still playing these you're still out of control. People are letting up on precautions, which is a very bad thing. He said we are giving up hard fought or hard or won gains. Mr. Biden asked the nation to preserve, saying that he had directed his coronavirus team to ensure that there was a vaccination site within 5 miles of 90% of Americans within 3 weeks. He said doses are now plentiful enough that 9 out of 10 adults in the nation or more will be eligible for shots by April 19th. Previously, he had only called on states to broaden eligibility and to all adults by May 1st. While it excuse me, while it will take time for everyone to get an appointment, Mr. Biden said you won't have to wait till May to be eligible for the shot. So, like I was saying, these people they're doing the most. Let me play this right here, right quick. Okay. Okay, let me get back over here.
We in the United States surpassed 30 million cases of COVID-19. CDC's most recent data show that the 7-day average of new cases is slightly less than 60,000 cases per day. This is a 10% increase compared to the prior 7-day
Going
period.
back up.
Hospitalizations have also increased. The most recent 7-day average, about 4,800 admissions per day, is up from 4,600 admissions per day in the prior 7-day period. And deaths, which typically lag behind cases and hospitalizations, have now started to rise, increasing nearly 3% to a 7-day average of approximately 1,000 deaths per day. When I first started at CDC about 2 months ago, I made a promise to you. I would tell you the truth, even if it was not the news we wanted to hear. Now is one of those times when I have to share the truth, and I have to hope and trust you will listen.
Yeah, you see her. She's an Edomite. In case nobody didn't figure that out. You see the smiles, and it's an Edomite.
I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared. I know what it's like as a physician to stand in that patient room, gowned, gloved, masked, shielded, and to be the last person to touch someone else's loved one because their loved one couldn't be there. I know what it's like when you're the physician, when you're the healthcare provider, and you're worried that you don't have the resources to take care of the patients in front of you. I know that feeling of nausea when you read the crisis standards of care and you wonder whether there are going to be enough ventilators to go around and who's going to make that choice. And I know what it's like to go up to your hospital every day and see the extra morgue sitting outside. I didn't know at the time when it would stop. We didn't have the science to tell us. We were just scared. We have come such a long way. 3 historic scientific breakthrough vaccines, and we are rolling them out so very fast. So I'm speaking today not necessarily as your CDC director, not only as your CDC director, but as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter, to ask you to just please hold on a little while longer. I so badly want to be done. I know you all so badly want to be done. We are just almost there, but not quite yet. And so I'm asking you to just hold on a little longer, to get vaccinated when you can, so that all of those people that we all love will still be here when this pandemic ends.
Okay. Any comments? No comment? Did nobody notice anything about that?
She was almost speaking as though she was about to break down crying or
Yeah, she was faking.
something was wrong with her. Yeah, her voice wasn't right.
Right. Like I said, it's no different in her than Fauci. Yeah, so like she said, everything started back rising again, the third wave coming back. So might as well get ready. And then I want everybody to know about the guy that got killed in Africa. They killed that after all the speeches and all this YouTube stuff. They came right back and business as usual. So I'm gonna play this here. I don't know how many people know this guy, but he's supposed to have a big voice in Africa too. Him along with Dr. O'Connor. Yeah. So the backdrop is that they killed another African leaders that stood up, just like they've been doing.
mining acts that we inherited from the erstwhile colonizer. The mining legislation was never designed.
So the guy from Ghana, about a week ago, he was looking at how he didn't cut off Switzerland. So Switzerland was been known ever since I've been old enough to walk. You know, I thought the chocolate was, you know, was grown and manufactured all that in Switzerland, but it's coming out of Ghana. They're getting the cocoa out of Ghana, but they had Ghana choked down where they didn't have the resources and the money to have the manufacturing capabilities to manufacture themselves. So they got them doing the slave labor part, and they getting it over there, and they being promoted like he was saying. They got 2 chocolate cities, Hershey and some other place, and so he cut them off last week. Said he ain't no more chocolate going there. They're gonna grow their own chocolate, grow their own cocoa beans, and manufacture themselves. Now this guy telling them to don't sell no more minerals to nobody, to Europe.
Trying to benefit Africa, whether it is in Tanzania or in the Democratic Republic of Congo or indeed in any other country. Africa was seen as a hunting ground. Africa was seen as a place where you come and take without consequence. Africa was seen as a place where you hunt and gather, and Africans were considered to be.
You notice how all the Negroes looking scared, don't you?
Stupid. I'm looking for a good word to say a bad thing, but I can't find it ready. The underlying assumption by many foreign companies, even now, is that African leaders are stupid, that Africans are stupid, and that you can do anything to them without consequence. And therefore, when we are beginning to engage in the manner that we are now telling them that we are not stupid, our leaders are not stupid, we know what we want, and we are going to get it. And that is why I understand the major developments in Tanzania and in a number of African countries. But the truth be told, as Tanzania is now on the first lane in terms of reforming the law or the legal regime. When the Tanzanian administration took the view that we are going to take charge, the Western companies must have been shocked. They must have said, and where is this gentleman from? Does he think he's going to survive in this world where we are in control? Does he think he's going to enact laws which are not in conformity with what they describe as the global reality? Does he think that Tanzania can go it alone? But lo and behold, we now have a different story to tell, which then sends the message that if you look at the mining sector from a management perspective and from a political perspective, there are a number of things that emerge. That every country has a duty to be in charge of the legal regime that they put in place. And that the legal regime that is put in place must be deliberately designed to benefit that country. That you must have a legal regime which is sensitive to domestic realities, but also alive to the international realities, and those are not incompatible. Let me tell you, and you know, I'm just reminding you, look at the history of mining in Africa, not only in Tanzania. It is a paradox that, say, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the richest country on earth in terms of minerals, $34 trillion worth of minerals, but ironically one of the poorest countries on earth. Look at Burkina Faso or Niger with the uranium. Look at Ghana with our gold, and many African countries. And look at the things that we have because our legal regimes are not favorable. You go to Antwerp in Belgium, they do not mine a single dam, not even one. but they tell you what the price of diamond is going to be in the world. Look at the United Kingdom. Gold is traded in the United Kingdom, but they do not produce a single gold. Look at France. So that you see, when you talk about the big players in the mining sector who come and dictate to us, if you go to the offices of the attorneys general of many African countries, and my good friend Honorable Budeko will tell you, they'll tell you we'll bring in experts. And ordinarily the expert they bring to you is a young man or a woman who graduated 2 years ago from the university, and the only thing they say is that I come from Belgium, or lately that I come from China. The underlying assumption is that we do not know even when we are professors. And we too are part of our problem. We too are part of the problem. Tukiona ngozi nyeupe tunatetemeka ovyo. And we must liberate ourselves from that situation. Because if we don't, then we will not earn the dividends that we are now beginning to see in Tanzania. If you look at the dispute resolution mechanisms in the mineral sector, when they come with standard form contracts, and they tell you in the event of a dispute, the dispute will be resolved in London, the dispute will be resolved in Paris, the dispute will be resolved in Singapore or in Belgium. If Tanzania is so good that you want to invest in it, what is wrong with our laws that when there is a dispute, you cannot resolve in accordance with Tanzanian law? These are issues that we must talk about. And when we talk about local content, and Her Excellency the Vice President did mention some of it, she said, when we judge the mining sector on the basis of money only, then we are missing the point. The point is that money is good. The point is that $800 million does a lot of things in terms of the Tanzanian budget, in the health sector, in the education sector, in the agricultural sector, and many other sectors. But the question that Her Excellency posed, what about the leaching that goes into the soil? In the next few years, what is our intergenerational responsibility to those who will be born after us? Are we mining as if we are the last people on earth? No, we must not. We must look at the environment, the environmental impact. We must look at the situation that will make it sustainable. And I'm very happy with what Kauli Mbiu. It is about sustainability. I'm saying that in the context of political governance of the mining sector, it is important that Tanzania is not an island or an oasis in the East African region. There is wisdom in ensuring that what is happening in Tanzania, and Tanzania is now ahead of all the East African countries in this regard, that this is also done in the East African community, so that when you have people who are bad, ill-mannered, because some of these investors, I'm looking for a good word to say bad thing. Some of these investors have very bad manners, and they have no respect for Africans. They have no respect for African countries. And when you take them away from Tanzania because of their legal regime, then they find another country whose legal regime is favored. And that is what we must do. We must create an environment in East Africa, which environment speaks the same language. The same environment must be created in SADC. The same environment must be created in ECOWAS. The same environment must be created in the Maghreb. And now that we have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which removes the tariff and non-tariff barriers, it is now very critical that going forward, when we deploy the full arsenal of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we are doing so from a position of strength. I hear you as I conclude that Tanzania is entering into partnerships with different European and American and Chinese companies. I have no quarrel with it. We are not an island. We cannot live apart from the world. We are part of the world. I hear Tanzania is benefiting better than it benefited a few years ago, and I like that that is happening. I hear them saying that they have good plans for us. But he who was eating a chicken 2 years ago, when he is given a goat 2 years later, he thinks he's doing very well. Yet what he deserves is a cow. And it is this cow that I'm talking about. We deserve better if we have proper management structures, if we have good legal infrastructure, if we collaborate regionally, if we have individuals who are trained. And that is why transfer of technology is also very important as we talk about local content.
Okay, anybody got any comments on what he talking about? Let me get over here. Yeah, so like I was saying before, he was talking about how Tanzania is progressing. Well, that's the guy they killed. They killed the president over Tanzania, and now they have the vice president, which is a woman, is over the country now. They killed the guy that was speaking out, and he was doing like this guy doing. So, like I said, keep your eyes on him. His name is Lumumba, Professor P.L. Lumumba is his name. But anyway, so like I was saying before, what you begin to realize is that they, in the past, they used to work, because they it's the same thing over here when got to call them for what they are, the boule. Whenever one of them come up dead, everybody else back up. They know the reason why they killed them. So it's the same thing over there. They're doing the same thing on both sides of the land. And they expecting everybody to ball up when somebody come up dead. Let me get this. Yeah. So any comments? This part of that, like I said, the puppet master. All this help play a part in it. We got people planted inside in different countries and different governments. It was inside of Africa that's, pulling strings for them. It's like I said, there's nothing new over here. It's the same thing going on over there. And the person that's behind it, I was having this conversation the other day, is these Illuminized Edomites. The bankers. They the one orchestrated the big banking problem that they had in 2008. They was behind that. They orchestrated the one in 1930, the Great Depression. They orchestrated that. They dealing with money and gobs of money and on a daily basis. Well, we think the things we deal with on a regular basis, we have no idea things they dealing with. I'm gonna give you an example of that when this right here. Let me go right here. It was mentioned earlier how that. Let me go here right quick. It was mentioned earlier about this ship that was in Suez Canal. Suez Canal was got stuck, and so what I'm saying is it didn't get stuck. It was bankers. These people were behind it. You understand what's going on, but I'm gonna show you that. Let me get Yeah.
Ship stuck in the Suez Canal for nearly a week has been set free. Egyptian authorities say the bow of the skyscraper-sized Ever Given was wrenched by tugboats from the canal's sandy bank, where it's been stuck since last Tuesday. It's now back in its normal position in the middle of the waterway. This brings to an end a crisis that has been blocking traffic along one of the world's busiest shipping routes.
They ain't getting
now let's bring in economist Vincent Stama from Kiel Institute for World Economy. Welcome to DW, Mr. Stama. First off, this operation has been watched nervously around the globe. Why did it take so long to dislodge this vessel?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It indeed took a long time. And partly a reason for that is the sheer size of the container ship. The container ship in question is around 400 meters long and hence much longer than the canal is wide. So it was actually lodged in both with the bow and the stern of the ship, and that just made it so much harder to free it.
Now, the Suez Canal is part of one of the busiest trade routes on the globe. Do we know yet what the extent of the damage from having it blocked for this long will be?
Unfortunately, we can't just quite yet quantify the exact damages. We heard the figure that a large volume of goods every day and regularly passes the Suez Canal, but we don't quite know what the effect of its delays are. There certainly will be millions worth of damages to the shipping companies that have that still have to pay operating costs for ships that are waiting, but the exact damages to supply chains, it's unfortunately too early to tell exactly.
The canal is also a huge moneymaker for Egypt, of course. What has this meant for the country?
Well, you're right. I mean, the Egyptian state.
That's what these people do at night. They're thinking about this type of stuff. We ain't thinking about it. They're figuring out ways how to, make more money. This one guy I was listening to was talking about how many times he'd been up and down the Suez Canal. He's working for the World Bank, but he mentioned how many times he'd been on ships in the Suez Canal. You know what I'm saying? Who do that? Who does that? I mean, the average person don't have no idea how all this stuff operates, but they do. They know how to make it, what to do to jam people up, and how to make billions of dollars in the matter of a day and all that. They know how to, they do this on a daily basis.
Receives a lot of the revenue from the Suez Canal, and a lot of that has been essentially lost in the last week, or at least postponed. Exactly how much of the revenue is lost will depend on how many ships have chosen to sail around Africa instead of using the Suez Canal. So again, it is hard to quantify also the economic costs for Egypt, but there will be some loss of revenue for the Egyptian economy.
Now, this whole debacle has really highlighted one of the major weaknesses of our globalized economy. Will this have any consequences, in your opinion, on the way the shipping industry currently operates?
You're right. I mean, we always regarded supply chains as somewhat robust, and the Corona crisis and the crisis in the Suez Canal have told us that there are some risks associated with just-in-time production, for example. And now for a small selection of goods, that probably is correct. And we should evaluate the stability of supply chains for few goods. Now, these are the weaknesses of supply chains. I would be remiss to not mention that there are also a lot of strengths of the global economy. And especially Germany, as an economy that is very open to global trade, we benefit a lot from global supply chains. So we shouldn't just renationalize supply chains just because of the accident in the Suez Canal last week.
Economist Vincent Stama, thank you very much for your analysis.
Right. So this how they operate. Like I said, they got the news, and they got these two clowns talking and call themselves informing you, but what they're doing is setting you up because of what they're getting ready to do. They use the news and the media to perpetrate everything. This go all the way. All this is going on way back during the time of Julius Caesar. You know, Julius Caesar had he used the propaganda in order to rise to power, and he started giving away stuff and to the you know, the peasants, so-called peasant people, and he got popular, and then you know, that's why they ended up killing him. But it was those bankers at the time. Those are the same lineage of people now. There was their forefathers back then. They set a plot up and they killed Julius Caesar in the Senate, the bankers. So we shouldn't be surprised that now people coming up missing. That's how they operate. So like I was saying, they didn't jam. I mean, you know, they didn't jam the Suez Canal up over a week, 8 or 9 days, and you know, you're gonna see the ramifications of it in the next couple of days. You'll see what I'm talking about. So, but anyway, so with that being said, we're gonna go over here. Like I say, they use the news to set everybody up like they did with the New Testament. Same thing. They're just saying something. It ain't the truth. They're just writing it down and then got you believing it. But it ain't saying what they saying. It's saying when you go read it and break it down. So here we go right here. So now they gotta blame it on somebody. So here we go. See, Suez Canal pilots come under scrutiny after the grounding of the ship. I mean, you already told them to ground. He says, with the Ever Given free and on the move, the spotlight is now likely to turn to an investigation of how the vessel got wedged in the Suez Canal, leading to billions of dollars. See that? Bankers. When you see that, bankers behind it, leading to billions of dollars and loss globally. Says, okay, says, while strong winds during a dust storm are widely seen as a major factor, Lieutenant Osama Buba, whatever I can't pronounce it, of the Suez Canal Authority told reporters that the investigation will not focus just on the weather, and that humans and technical errors cannot be ruled out. Investigators are likely to examine the performance of the 2 Egyptian canal pilots aboard the Ever Given and their relationship with the ship's captain. Okay, the ship captain is Chinese. Were there any communication problems? How experienced were the pilots and the captains in the navigating of the canal, and what challenges did they face in moving the ship of such massive size, as big as the Empire State Building and near the maximum size allowed in the canal, along a single lane artery of waterways? So see how they setting you up to let you, you know, making it, they giving you a carpet, but the whole time, like I said before, they sitting up at night trying to figure out, you know, what can we do, you know, to make billions of dollars, you know. So they say we're gonna jam up the Suez Canal. They up and down the Suez Canal all the time. Just like I said, the Rothschilds back with with Napoleon. They brought Napoleon on the scene. Everybody thinking Napoleon just popped up out of the blue, but they brought Napoleon on the scene, just like they brought Hitler on the scene to cause mass destruction, tear up everything. Then they come back and rebuild it and make billions and billions of dollars off of it. That's why the wealth gap between the elite and to the regular people is so big now. So the thing was, he brought Napoleon on the scene, and then, like I said, he got they sent and once Napoleon turned on them, they went and got their own armies and bought them and killed Napoleon, cut him off at the Waterloo. But they had everybody thinking Napoleon had won, so everybody sold all their stocks for a little bit of nothing because they thought Napoleon was coming. And then when they found out that Napoleon didn't win, the Edomites had bought everything up. They had bought all the stuff up, and then so when the stock market came back online, which they knew it was, they had all the money. They did the same thing with Hitler. They did the same thing with with the Great Depression. Then they did it again in 2008 when they robbed all the banks. They got this down pat. They've been passing this information on for thousands of years. They know just what to do to create a whole truckload of money. They do it over and over again. Then they brainwash us through the media. Any comments? Do I got any comments? Okay, so with that being said, I was gonna play this here. We'll talk about it. It's sort of kind of what I've been talking about, but it's capitalism without any accountability. Like she's saying, it's the root of this non-accountability is the root of what's happening with the Suez Canal crisis.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the Quarantine Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Hopes are rising that the Suez Canal in Egypt may soon be reopened after an enormous container ship blocked the canal and now has partially been refloated earlier today. The 200,000-ton ship, the Ever Given, got stuck 6 days ago, blocking one of the world's most important trade routes. The waterway, which opened in 1868, connects the Mediterranean with the Indian Ocean. More than 450 other container ships are waiting to enter the canal, which is used for about 12% of all global trade. Some ships have opted to sail around the Horn of Africa instead of waiting for the Suez Canal to reopen. The impact of the canal shutdown is already being felt. Syria has begun to ration fuel after a Syria-bound ship carrying oil was prevented from entering the canal. The crisis has also raised new questions about global trade practices, including the reliance on massive cargo ships. The Ever Given is almost as long as the Empire State Building is high. The ship's cargo would extend for 75 miles if placed in a straight line. We go now to London, where we're joined by Lala Khalili, professor of international politics at the School of Politics and International Relations at Queen Mary University of London. She's the author of several books, including most recently, Sinews of War and Trade, Shipping and Capitalism in the Arabian Peninsula. Khalili's new piece for the Washington Post is headlined, "Big Ships Were Created to Avoid Relying on the Suez Canal. Ironically, a big ship is now blocking it." Hello, Professor. It's great to have you with us. Can you start off by just describing what has happened in the Suez over this past week?
Hi, Amy. I'm very happy to be with you today. So the ship was obviously in a convoy heading north from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, and it was carrying goods. It had its point of origin was the port of Ningbo in China, and it had made a couple of stops in Malaysia on the way to Europe. Its destination is Rotterdam. As it got into the ship, there were massive winds blowing across the canal. There are transversal winds blowing across the canal. And of course, captains are quite experienced in trying to steer the ships. And one of the ways that they do this is by steering into the wind. I think in this instance, perhaps it didn't quite work out. And from what it seems like, that massive gust of wind resulted in the ship spinning a little bit, and that resulted in turn in hydrodynamic problems down below the ship. So the ship ended up getting diagonally wedged. Its prow got wedged in the east side of the canal, and its aft, or its stern, was on the west side of the canal. And so it essentially cut off all movement across the canal on Tuesday. And since then, there's been a lot of effort to try and refloat it. And part of the problem has been that it has lodged on the side of the canal. Part of the problem is that the canal is kind of its edges are not quite as deep as its center is. And so it's being wedged at the front and the back in the side of the canal means that it needs to have dredgers dig the sand and the mud around it in order to release it. And then it has to be refloated down the center of the canal, pushed forward or towed forward to one of the lakes that are in the center of the canal in order for the convoys to resume their movement across the Suez Canal.
The enormity of this ship, the Empire State Building on its side. If you can talk about how ships got this large, and also in the context of where it is right now, explain the significance and history of the Suez Canal and its importance in global trade.
So the Suez Canal, as your listeners probably know, was actually dug by the French and the British in order to consolidate their imperial hold on Asian Africa. So that was intended to facilitate the connection between Mediterranean and Asian Africa. And when it was nationalized in 1956 by then Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser, when the British, the French, and the Israelis attacked the canal, and the canal was shut down because there was war debris and ships in there. So that is really interesting and ironic because, of course, that moment is the moment at which a lot of shipping companies, this was the height of global trade. There was lots of oil flowing from the Middle East to Europe because, of course, this is the 1950s after the Second World War. Industries, again, taking off in Europe. And so the canal was really crucial to these moments. And when it was shut down by that attack, the shipping companies started looking at ways to make the rounding of the Cape of Good Hope, the southern tip of Africa, make it more economically viable. And so the economies of scale dictated the creation of these mega ships. And as years have gone by, the ships have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger because this, of course, is much more profitable for shipping companies. So it's kind of ironic that these very large mega ships that have been created have caused also the closure of the canal. Now, in terms of what the canal does, the canal connects, of course, Asia and Europe. It's the shortest route between Asia and Europe. And part of the reason that it is so significant is because
the canal connects Asia and Europe. The Asians on the rise, the Chinese.
as you mentioned earlier, 12% of global trade passes through it, but it's one of the three most important routes, the other two being transatlantic and trans-Pacific routes for the movement of goods. Of course, as also your listeners know, China and East Asia, East and Southeast Asia, are now the factories of the world. And so a lot of manufactured good is produced there. And of course, there's the oil that flows not only northward, not only from the Middle East and the Gulf, but also, for example, Azeri oil or Kazakh oil that come from the Black Sea, and Libyan oil that comes from the Mediterranean flows south to go to Asia. So it's still quite a significant artery of global trade.
Can you talk about the economic toll overall of what this means and what you see happening next, a kind of reckoning taking place, or will there be?
So I hope that there will be a reckoning. Usually such massive kind of issues that that end up affecting global trade tend to have some after echoes. Although there have been other instances of ships having gotten stuck in the canal and being released, but none have taken as long as this one has. Now, the reason that this is quite significant, obviously the very first category of sort of people who are hurt by this is the Egyptian government that collects something like $700,000 per ship's passage in the canal. So if you've got 400 ships waiting to pass, it's that much of the fees that the Egyptian government is not collecting from the Suez Canal. There are, of course, other victims of this, if you will, and I think that those have often been forgotten. So, and those are the seafarers that are sitting on these ships. I think it's really important to acknowledge, and very few people have done, that seafarers have had some of the hardest months of work in the last year or so, because with the closure of ports and airports, they have been stuck on board ships, sometimes for months after their contracts have ended, sometimes without being paid wages. And so the fact that now, again, there are going to be delays, that they could potentially not be able to fly home at the time that they have, I think that it's really important to acknowledge that they are, they tend to, this has worked to their detriment in a great and major way. And of course, there are others. What we hear about, for example, just-in-time production of automobiles in Europe has been one of the categories of manufacturing that has been hurt by this. And of course, clean gasoline that comes northward through the canal there are going to be delays in the delivery of those. And so there are a number of very specific categories of sort of manufacturing that have been affected. One final thing is that, and we don't know the exact whether or not this is the case, but we also know that India is right now one of the world's biggest pharmaceutical manufacturing locations. And we know that India is where a great percentage of the world's various vaccines, COVID vaccines, are being manufactured. So it is also possible that some of the ships that are awaiting passage through the canal, there might be some that are also carrying vaccines and are awaiting passage. So there are, the picture is going to be a lot more clear after the flow has started and we have a better sense of what cargo is being carried on the ships that have been delayed or ships that have had to be rerouted around the Cape of Good Hope. But at the moment, those are all the possible areas where there could be a delay, and there are people that have been hurt by that process.
I want to go. That is a piece that you just wrote about talking about U.S.-China relations in the London Review of Books titled Growing Pains, The Emperor's New Road, China and the Project of the New Century. On Friday, President Biden told reporters he discussed plans with British...
Talking about the Silk Road that I've been telling you about, the Road and Belt Initiative. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson to counter China's massive Belt and Road Initiative.
Okay.
One of the things I suggested we do is we talked about China and the competition they're engaging in the Belt and Road Initiative, and I suggested we should have essentially a similar initiative coming from the democratic states, helping those communities around the world that in fact need help.
Professor Khalili, your response.
So it's quite interesting because it seems to me that the US military industrial diplomatic complex has always wanted another enemy, and it benefits from having another Cold War going. And so to cast China's provision of, for example, infrastructures in order to facilitate its trade seems to be a kind of an encouragement of this. Of course, there are lots of problems also associated with China's Belt and Road Initiative. For example, in some of the places that in these investments are happening, there are all sorts of human rights abuses happening, including...
And briefly explain the Belt and Road Initiative, which is not explained at all in the media in the United States very much.
Exactly.
So the Belt and Road Initiative is essentially a plan that was put into action in the 2013 to actually gather under its title a whole lot of already existing infrastructure projects across the Eurasian landmass all the way to Europe for infrastructure and particularly transport projects. So high-speed rail, train lines that went through different terminuses and would, for example, end up in Singapore and in Iran and in Budapest. And then across the oceans, the South China Sea and the Indian Ocean and through the Mediterranean, essentially a route for ships. So investment in port and maritime infrastructure. And so this was called the Maritime Belt and so the Land Belt and the Maritime Road. And so this essentially this massive program entailed investment financing by China close actually to how much, 400 and something billion dollars, close to actually what the World Bank had invested in that period.
They go the magic word, the World Bank. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay. So see right here behind me. See, they go to Suez Canal right there. Right there. Where they have the drum there. They go to Road and Belt Initiative. They go to China. See? So all they're doing is they keep talking about a great reset. And that means the money system, the global monetary system. So all they're doing is testing the waters. So I mean, when you understand how these bankers think, all they say was, well, let's see what happens. We're gonna jam this up and see how they go, see how it works. But see, this is the Road and Belt Initiative right here. This is the main thing they gotta they're gonna be dealing with. The ship's gonna be right here. Coming in here. This is the canal right there. So like I said, all these places around here, they building mega, they building smart cities, big, huge cities all around here. They're setting it up. So, and like I said, America over here, these ships coming from here, going over there. Well, America is falling. They collapsing. These bankers collapsing America because they want to bring all that over here. That's what this is all about right here. But they just done. They testing the system. Here it is over here. Show you this. Yeah. See that here? Same thing. Suez Canal. There it is. Suez Canal. They go to road and Bell Elementary right here. So this the brainchild of the whole system they setting up. But like I said, who know this? Who know this stuff? See? They go to road all this here. This was this Suez Canal is what gonna charge all this. This the light source to it. So when you understand that, it's no coincidence all of a sudden out the blue, they got so-called two guys don't know what they're doing and jam up the Suez Canal. No, they set that all up while we sitting around sleeping and you know, going out eating steak and stuff. That's what they doing. They setting up, and so what you have to expect is after they testing all the water, testing everything. When they finish testing it, you're gonna expect some big catastrophic event gonna happen. Like I said, this when they talking about the global reset, that's what they're talking about. Right here. It's rolling together. They wanna you gotta imagine all this money that China making right here, but it's that trip. They have to take all the way across the Atlantic over here to America and over here these countries. Just imagine they don't have to do that no more. How much money they're gonna save, how much money they're gonna make. That's what you see going on. That's how these people think. This like I said before, I keep telling people to do that, but you know, watch that the Puppet Master. And you see everything unfolding. The guy that just got killed in Tanzania, tied to this. All this, it's all tied to this. That's how you thinking that everything is working separately, but it's all working toward the same particular event. Like I said, they did it with Napoleon. They did it with Hitler. You know, it's just over and over again. They're doing the same thing. They just when the people started progressing, the lower class people started coming up the ladder where they got to find a way to knock them back down and bring all the money back to them. And that's what you see this right here. It's a lot more tied to it too. Like I said, I showed you about Harry, you know, who he is. All this Harry all of a sudden on the scene, all this stuff tied together because they want to hit. When you go back to Hitler, Hitler was an Edomite, and this is if you notice Israel right here. This is where Israel is right here. This area where they want to rule the world. Hitler wanted to rule the world for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. Well, the throne, so-called throne of David, is in Great Britain. They want to bring it here. They want to bring it back to Jerusalem, but they want to have a system in place where they getting all the money and rule the world from Jerusalem. These are Illuminati bankers. They're Edomites. They Jacob's brother. They want to rule the world from here, from Jerusalem. That's what we're looking at, and they doing all this stuff here. And you think it's all not connected, but it's all connected. Let me bring people back on. You know, and so like I was saying before, you can you know, you can take it how you want, but like I say, what you just seen right, what just happened with the Suez Canal, they totally putting all the ducks in a row, and after they do that, you're gonna see total chaos because they have to shift the whole world, flip it all around. They're gonna bring total chaos. Like I said, they brought Hitler and Stalin and all them. That's all they was doing then, bankers. They somewhere up in the Swiss Alps somewhere, or hiding out while the chaos going on and waiting on it for it to be over. Then they come in with their expertise on banking and all that, and centralize all this money and start pick back up where they left off it, and everybody else broke, and half of the population dead. That's how they work. We looking at the same thing again, and the Most High continuously talking about them over and over again. But because we've been misguided with the scriptures, we don't understand what's going on. Let me get this real quick. Oh, okay. So, with that being said, anybody got any comments or anything they want to add? We're gonna do a little Q&A before we get off the line. Anybody have anything they want to add or questions or something they want to talk about? Don't everybody talk at one time. Don't nobody have anything? Okay. Let me play this line and then get out of here. Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing too. I'm setting up I'm trying to set up a little I don't know what to call it. It's got to do with from my perspective and what I'm looking at, how everything is going, to start interacting with people more and talking with them more and more engaging with them more about you know, who the Lord of Hosts is. Because like I said, the time is coming where that's, you know, that's gonna be the number one thing that you have to understand who your creator is, and you're gonna have to acknowledge him. And if you don't, it's gonna be repercussions to you. So with that being said, I'll talk about it more on Wednesday. So let me play this. Yeah, I'll make a suggestion too. I'm thinking somebody should gather up some questions and have some questions when we start dialoguing. You know, because questions, the Q&A is what's going to help a lot of people that's listening in. They might have some, you know, because it might lead, you know, it start one place and lead somewhere else.
Right. Yeah, I might start writing some questions down just to have some.
Right.